This is the Cape Dory 31 Danusia, and I've just finished stripping the bright work. In the last video I showed how it looked when the boat arrived at my shop, and I've just spent the last 2 days, or some portion thereof, stripping what remained. There was a lot of already bare wood. You can see how much weathered wood there is. But I used a heat gun and a scraper, scraped all the wood, and I'm just going to give you a quick walkthrough of what I've done to show you the next step in the process. And I'll try and keep the camera as steady as I can so I don't make you sick. This has not yet been sanded. Sanding will be the next step, which will clean up the rest of this. Go through a couple of the grits, get all the rest of the varnish off, sand the wood smooth and clean up the weathered areas. So that's the next step from here. And that'll take quite a bit of time because this wood is in a real mess. A lot of weathered wood to clean up. Most of it will be handwork because most of these profiles are too small for a sander. So I'll use sanding block and by hand on these toe rails. Combings can use a palm sander. Handrails, all this trim, it's going to be all handwork. A lot of weathered wood even on these vertical combings. Especially on this side. The other side's not as bad. I pretty much scraped everything, even the weathered wood, because scraping this takes off some of the weathering. It'll make it hopefully a little easier to sand. I didn't go nuts with it. Don't want to reduce the fun of the next step after all. Lots of sanding. Obviously that's the job. Truth be told, I don't really mind it that much. Kind of get in a zone. The eyebrow on this side was in way worse condition, almost completely bare. Except this little strip back here that was covered with the Dodger. And toe rails on this side had very little varnish left on them. Just a little bit on these outside faces. Almost the entire inside face was bare. Just heavily weathered wood. The good news is the wood is still pretty smooth. I should be able to sand it successfully. It hasn't been bare long enough to start weathering to the point of exposing hard winter grain. Still, you know, I did this bright work in 2015, and it hasn't really been maintained too much since then. So, you know, it did start out in a pretty good state not too long ago. And we're back around to the anchor platform. So there's how things look right now. Next step will be lots of sanding. See you then.